All right, welcome to Salon number 46. That's a lot of salons, and that's not even including the Euro salons, which I've gotten a different bucket, and that's up to like 22 or 23. Um, and so what I want to do is I was just in Boston and New York for a trip, saw lots of art museums, and there are a lot of artworks that I saw in Boston. Boston is a great cluster of art museums altogether, and I'll share some highlights from four art museums in Boston. And I want to show them to you, have you react to them, and then we'll decide on maybe one, maybe two, but definitely go with one artwork that we're kind of all intrigued by that we're going to immerse ourselves in. I do have some updates I want to share with you, and I'll tell you a little bit about the art museums just in general also before we start. If you'd like to make a donation to my European trip fund, please feel free to. There are a couple QR codes, but there's absolutely no obligation to that. And feel free to dip in and out of this if you need to go. This is just for fun. This is very informal. This is not like my classes or courses or anything like that. I'm unprepared. I know nothing about these artworks except that I saw them and I liked them. So Josh, it's going to be different from the tour where like I'm directing things and we're going this way and that. No, no, no. It's like who knows? Well, you're gonna, you know what? I'm buying your time to help me be my research assistant with these artworks. Okay, so let's see. Let me put a quick link in the chat in case you don't like QR codes, which I don't blame you. So this is just a PayPal link in case you'd like to make a donation. All right. So to start with, let me just give you one big update. Hopefully all of you know that the Touching the Art website is a new website, and I'm pretty excited about it. And please feel free to share thoughts on it. I'm already thinking of what tweaks I want to make, and if there's anything in particular that you wish you could see on the website, just touchingtheart.com. But big thing is mark your calendars for not next week or the week after, but the following week. This is something I did 2 years ago when I had like a week where I was relatively unbusy. I think it happened in August too, back in 2023. I offered up something called an art break. Take 20 minutes, get on Zoom with me, and let's spend time with an artwork together, just you and I. And I'm happy to have you pick an artwork out. Josh, I think you did this and you picked an artwork out that you wanted to do. And Molly, maybe I picked an artwork out that I thought that you might enjoy. So just 20 minutes. It'll be at a time that's convenient for you. I've got basically that whole week free, just a few minor commitments, but I'll send out an email with a sign up sheet where you sign up for a time. I'll send you a Zoom link. We get on there, and it's just a time for you to incorporate some art, not in a group setting, but something that's much more personalized just to you. And it gives me the opportunity to enjoy conversing one-on-one with someone and to get to know each of you a little bit more. Art is a very personal thing, and doing it in groups is great, and it's a shared experience, but also doing it one-on-one, tailored to what you value, to what is going on in your life, to your um to your momentum and speed and understanding and processing and where you want to go with the artwork. So that's what I like to do. Tammy, glad you think it's a fun idea. And Molly, you have an artwork picked out. Okay, awesome. So look for that in the TTA newsletter. I will be, or in the Stories in Paint Facebook group page, I will be sending out a sign up sheet for that. Okay, let's talk about Boston. So, as I mentioned, I gave a bunch of tours in Boston, and there are a lot of artworks that you're probably familiar with at the major museum because Stories in Paint features four artworks from the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And I'll show those to you just as a quick reminder. But there are several other art museums or quasi art museums, and this is not all of them in Boston, but this is several of them. So you've got the top left corner over here, the Museum of Fine Arts, which is the main one. Then the Isabella Stewart Gardner, which is a stone's throw away from the Museum of Fine Arts. And I'll have a couple of artworks from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum that were gems that caught my attention. The Harvard Art Museums, a wonderful collection. And I think it's free, and you just step in and you go, and a lot of artworks there. And I'll have a couple there. In the bottom right corner, I have the Boston Public Library. And the Boston Public Library is not an art museum, but it features three late 19th, early 20th century sets of murals, like vast, huge frescoes, each by individual artists. So it's not like, okay, everybody, let's all get together and paint something. You know, 15 people painting off on the walls. No, it's one artist for each room. And we're not calling it, think of like a vast palatial room, each room having their own program with multiple scenes, 15 huge paintings, all integrated in around some kind of subject. And I'll have one artwork there, one panel from all those that I want to share. But if you are anytime near Copley Square in Boston, just step into the Boston Public Library, go upstairs, and be amazed. I can't believe it's something that's just there for free. Uh, it's fantastic. Okay, so those are the 4 art museums that I've got stuff from. Let's see what I have next. Here are the 4 paintings from the MFA, the Museum of Fine Arts, that are in Stories in Paint or in the Touch in the Art app. If you see one that you like and say, oh, Luke, I don't have Stories in Paint handy, or I want the TTA app recording right now, tell me, and I'll put the link in the chat, and I'll take you to the Touch in the Art app artwork for that particular artwork, along with my audio with the guiding questions and so forth, so that you can then on your own enjoy. So here are the 4, and you might recognize these from tours I've given or from the book. So we've got this one, I'll call her the Gray Lady. And this one, Tumultuous and Peaceful Landscapes. And the third one here, Looking into the Sun. And of course, These Two Lovers, or I heard somebody call it the Meeting of Minds, which I liked. All right. So these 4, if you want a link, let me know, and I'll find it for you for any of these. Now, next, 3 paintings here that are paintings that are from the MFA that I incorporated on tours that were new to me at the time. But I like to freshen up my tours. I like to incorporate things, try things out. And what I want to do is, if you don't know, I've got a Substack where I write articles, and I also do art readings, new art readings. And I'd like to get maybe your input on which of these 3 artworks in the Museum of Fine Arts you would be interested in seeing a more thorough reading and analysis of. So here they are. You got this one. I'll call it The Visit. This one, Challenging the Two Horses. And a third, I'll call it The Jester. So of these 3, I'll call it number 1, The Visit, number 2, Two Horses, or number 3, Jester. Which one seems like one you would want to spend more time with, hear my thoughts on, hear my reading for? And I'll go back to the beginning here. The Visit, number 2, The Horses, or number 3, The Jester. So Tammy, you would pick number 1, That Visit. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. Okay. Just going through some of the artworks from the MFA and asking if anybody has any particular preferences for what they like here. Josh, Molly, any uh Janet, Eugene, anything you Janet, number three, Molly, the visit, since we spent the least time with that one on the tour, but I'd love to see you written up, reading on any of them. Josh, you're with Tammy, number one for sure. It's this one. Cool. Very cool. Okay, great. Thank you. So now let's do the unveiling. I got too many artworks. I had to narrow them down. I've got seven. Seven, and I'd love to see your initial titles for these seven. I think I've given a couple previews, but when I do previews, I like to do a close up of the image so you don't get the full image. So I try to be wily and deceptive. But I want to hear what your initial title is for each one of these seven, and then afterwards, we'll pretend like we have a fair democracy, and you get the chance to vote and pick on the artwork that you all collectively want. But then I'll see where my whims go. So let's see. First painting. What's your initial title for this one? Ooh. Just the first words that come to mind. And Josh, you have Reading on the Gray Rock. Molly, you're holding up a book, and what's the title of that book? You're
It's
tiny on
A
my screen.
Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy. And
Oh, Pair of Blue
it's
Eyes
a
by
very
Thomas Hardy.
similar image.
Very similar image. Okay, that's an interesting connection. Any other initial
This
titles for
image
this?
is called A Close Watch by Bruthal.
Close Watch. Okay. And Tammy, you have A Solitary Read. Oh, I like it. Molly, A Reader on a Cliff. Excellent. So gauge your internal response. Was it, did you have like a strong pang, like, ooh, I'm really intrigued, or like a, nah, it's all right, or oh, I really like that. Whatever it is, gauge it and keep that in mind. And Molly, you're coming up with new titles, cliffhanger. That's I love those packed with meanings. All right, number two. What's your initial title for this one? Oh, and Janet, you had Reading in Nature on a Summer Day for the previous one. I like it. I like it, Janet. Reading in Nature on a summer day. That sounds like a pleasant thing to do. Okay. I'm not very nice. I kind of show it to you for 2 seconds and then blank screen. What's going on, Luke? I want to look more closely. I want to bask in the sunlight of that place. Okay. So Tammy, you have the precipice. Ooh, that's intriguing. Uh, Molly, contemplation on the misty road. The misty road is someplace I'd like to go down. Um, Josh, you have meeting the mist. Janet, journey forward. All right, wonderful. And here's the third one. What's your initial title for this one? Molly, I saw the glint of recognition in your eyes. And in Catherine, for the previous one, you had a solitary stroll, which is very different from this one, which is not a solitary stroll. All right, great, Catherine. Like it. Okay. All right, initial titles for this one. Molly, you have Ladies in Waiting. Remember, just the first glimpse, the first impression, and what words you have for that. That's it. Could be as simple as people. Even a simple title like that has a lot packed into it. Okay. Janet, you have royal preparations. Okay. And Tammy, the adoring public. Ooh, and I'm very curious. Oh, what does that look like? Adoring public. Oh. And Josh, you have introduction at court, and Catherine, a knight returns. All those titles make me want to read this artwork a little bit more. All right. Number 4. What's your initial title for this one? Okay, let's take a look and see. Molly, have tell me your secrets. Tammy, an ancient message. Josh, the Sphinx whisper. And Janet, whispering Sphinx. Okay. All right, great. Number 5. How many did I say? 7? Number 5. What's your title for this one? Ooh, going into different directions here. All right. And keep typing if you're still typing. And that's what we have so far. Molly, you have mother's love. Josh, what have I done? Janet, touching the soul. And Janet, I'm just assuming it's you. So Eugene, if it's you that's typing, just if you want to let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep saying Janet. Tammy, you have empathy. And Catherine, you're guessing you're seeing that long hair and calling her Rapunzel. All right. Fantastic. 2 more. What's your initial title for this one? And Janet, it's you except for the Sphinx. Roger that. Okay, that's all you get. What's your initial title for that? Okay. Keep typing if you're still typing. And let's see what we have. Molly, have shock. Tammy, waiting. Josh, the travelers. Catherine, the train ride. Uh, I, I've got to write an article about why I like these initial titles so much, because one thing that's occurring to me why I like it is it gives you, as a reader of the artwork, a starting point. It's like, this is my starting point for this story. It's seeing that expression on her face. Or my starting point for the story is seeing this group together of travelers. And that's where you've turned the first page to, and then as you keep reading more, you're going to encounter all these other things that other people are noticing, but it's going to come in the development of your plot. Okay. And Janet, you have the gaze. All right, one more. What's your initial title for this one? That's it. There's a lot going on there. It might be hard to kind of decipher, but just remember just the first words. Where does your story start? What is it you notice that you took in? And it's interesting if your initial observation, sometimes your initial observations are ones that are going to turn out to be completely different from what you eventually see going on. And so you've set yourself up for a greater plot twist. Or your initial impression might be very much like what you're going to eventually decide is going on. And so you've kind of set yourself up for a story that makes complete sense to what you were seeing initially. Ooh, okay, maybe that's the title. Like s- starting your own story, starting the story, something like that. Okay, I'll have to think about that. All right, keep typing if you're still typing. Tammy, you have the rescue. That's an interesting start to the story. Molly, the fisherman's companion. Janet, land at last. Josh, the rescue. Not copying Tammy, honest. I don't know, Josh. It sounds like she said the rescue too. And once words are said, you cannot be repeating them. Okay. No, I love similar people come up with same words, similar titles, not because that they're the same, but because there is a bit of nuance of difference between the words that you're using or what is making you say that, so that when each of you say the rescue, you're kind of starting the story in the same place, but asking yourselves, okay, what do you see that makes you say there's a rescue? And you develop the reading from there. You're going to be noticing different things that made you say that in the first place. And Catherine, you like the rescue. All right, great. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here. I'll tell you where the work is from, and then I'm going to have them all on screen at the same time, and we'll do that pretend vote. So first one here, solitary reading, cliffhanger, is at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Of course, they're all in Boston. They're just Museum of Fine Arts. Okay. Next one. This precipice walk through the mystery mist. This one is also at the MFA. So now you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, compared to each other, I got to make a choice. Which one am I going to go to spend time with? This is part of a mural at the Boston Public Library. And the Sphinx one is also at the MFA, the Museum of Fine Arts. And Molly, the love that composition was that for this one here? Oh, the mist one. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Rapunzel here, or empathy, or what have I done? This one is at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Shock with the Travelers. This one is also at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. And then lastly, to be original, I'm going to call it The Rescue. Uh, and that is at the Harvard Museums of Art. So let me assign a number to each. And don't tell me which one yet you want, because I like making things dramatic. Here's number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, number six, and number seven. I tell you what, uh, I'll let you pick two. I'll let you pick two. And don't push enter yet. Molly, I'm nothing if not generous. Uh, I want you to, when I say push enter, I want you to push enter and just have two numbers on there, number two or number five or whatever it is. And I'm going to have a drum roll and we're going to tally up the votes and see what the people say. And then I'll decide. Okay. You know, Molly, I love pretending. I love role playing. I love, using my imagination to bring meaning to things. So, okay. All right. Are you ready? Is everybody ready?
So no, no. What are we doing here? What are we voting on?
So you're voting on the two that you would want to go and spend time with. Which ones are you most intrigued by? Okay, I'll give you a moment.
Luke, you
If
want
you,
to put it in the chat?
yeah, but hold off. Yeah, you're gonna put it in the chat, and when I say three, two, one, you're gonna push enter, and it'll all be revealed at the same time in dramatic fashion. Okay. And push enter. Okay. Oh, Josh, you got to be instantaneous. Don't spend too much time deciding. Um, okay. Let's see what we have. All right, great. So let's tally up the votes here and see where we are. Janet and Eugene, number one and number seven. So I've got number one and a number seven. Tammy, number two and number three. Catherine, number two and number one. Molly, whoa, number two and number seven. Josh, number two and number four. Huh. That's all right, Janet. You're giving us a preview. Sometimes it's great to have a little bit of a preview to things. So clearly Luke won't pick number two. All right. I said I'm nothing if not generous. I'm nothing if not a man of the people. So I will bow down to your wishes. Let's spend time with number two. Let's spend time with number two. And I think we're in for a very, very interesting ride. So, are you guys ready? I'm going to clear all this and stop the share for a moment. I invite you to get something to write on out. I am a big fan of pen and pencil, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes with the artwork to use as you like. I'll encourage you to do a reading of the artwork, to just write everything that comes to mind on a piece of paper. If you like to type things out, you can do that. If you want to type it out in the chat, you can do that. If you're going to type it out someplace that's not as constrained as the chat, you can do that. Or you can just write out on your own paper, however you like. The one thing I suggest is if you're writing out on paper, don't do it like me, where after I write it, I can't read it anymore. Try to make it at least legible so that then you can share it. Okay. So you've got your starting point with your initial title. If you want to, if you've got a page, start off, put your initial title at the top. And that's where your story started. And
Are you going to tell us who the painters are?
no, Catherine, I will. But in the sequence of things at the end. So
Just note
oftentimes,
my eagerness.
good. Yeah, yeah, I'll be glad to share that information. Um, but sometimes what I find with like, if I know the painter, if I like, oh, that's a Picasso, then it shifts me away from thinking about the artwork story and makes me focus on, oh, this is it must be an early Picasso if he's still doing realistic stuff before he kind of transitioned to Cubism. And so it gets me into a different mindset. So to preserve the like we're in the middle of reading a novel mindset, immersing ourselves in the story, I will hold back. Okay. In the fullness of time. Yes, Molly, in the
Sense.
fullness of time. So let's see. Let me share my screen. I'm going to give you 2 minutes and 42 seconds, calculated to the nth degree. Uh, I'll I'll zoom in, but you're at my arbitrary whim for the zoom ins. I recommend just writing whatever you're seeing, whatever you're, and if it's part of your reading, incorporate questions. It's not just describing and it's not just immersing, like what are they saying and what sounds do I hear and what's the movement, but also the plot, asking questions. Often an observation turned into a question becomes more meaningful. So if you say, if you just simply say, she's sitting on a rock reading, fine. If you say, why is she sitting on a rock reading? That observation becomes more meaningful. All right, here we go. Have at it. About 30 more seconds. I invite you to find a stopping point. Finish the sentence that you're writing. And if you have not done so already, incorporate at least one quote, maybe two. You don't have to need to know, you don't need to know what's going on in the image to give words to the emotion or expression that you're seeing. But what would you imagine they would say if they were to speak right now, or the words that are going through their mind? And even if you're thinking that they wouldn't be speaking, let's have fun. What are the words that their expression suggests? All right. Zoom back out to the full image. Okay, very cool. I am excited to hear what you are seeing, how your story is progressing, to see what plot twists were in store for you, to see what questions you have, and to see how we can build on each other's observations to try to pick out what is going on here before we get into title and background story. I really enjoy seeing your whole written out journey, and especially hearing you share it. So if anybody wants to read what they wrote out, I'd love to see that. If you prefer not to, that's all right too. And you just want to jump in with some contributions, please feel free to. But I want to start and give the floor to anybody who wants to read out loud what they have written. All right. Molly, you'd like to start? Go for it, Molly.
Okay. A young, virile man with strong legs and arms strides out of the sea onto the sand, carrying a large, heavy fishing net on his right shoulder with his right hand wrapped around the net. There does not appear to be any boat nearby. The waves are visible behind him, rough but not large, and it is cloudy but not stormy. The he looks with alarm into the distance at right. At his shoulder, a half-nude woman-like creature with breasts and long hair and fins coming out of her legs has her let's see, has her hands clasped, looking at him as if pleading him to notice her. He is not carrying her, only the net, yet she seems to be nestled onto his thigh as if he bears her weight. Her hair has pearls in it. See me, she pleads. His focus is elsewhere.
Wonderful, Molly. Thank you for sharing. And I like to jot down my highlights of others' readings in the chat. So you can take a look at that. So you were making observations like, he's a virile man coming away from not a particularly stormy setting. And she's got fins in her feet. What the heck's going on here? And the way that he's staring off in the distance, it kind of not paying attention to her. You have her saying kind of pleadingly, see me. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Molly. Would somebody else like to share what they've written? I'd love to hear your story. Catherine?
So Luke, I don't have a narrative like Molly's, and Molly, I really enjoyed the detail that you pointed out. I just have a list of questions.
Go for it.
So where are they? Where are they going? What are they running from? What are they looking at? I thought they were both looking in the same direction rather than her looking at him. It took me a while to figure out that those are sort of a fin tail on her legs. And why is he carrying her? How did he catch her? And my title was because I thought they were looking at the same thing with, oh, first of all, I have to say he's so handsome. Be still my heart. He's so handsome. Yeah, they look to me like they're looking at the same thing, as if he's determined to get there, but worried that they might not. So my title for it now is Our Destiny.
Okay. All right, that's great. I love the questions, and the questions kind of set up the direction of your reading and like what are you going to notice for or look for to try to help answer those questions.
And he is
And
breathtakingly handsome.
so, Catherine, when with statements like that that are slightly abstract, I don't like letting them go because I want more juice from that delicious mango. Can you give us some juicy details of how handsome he is? What do you see that makes him look so handsome?
He has a strong jaw, an aquiline nose, um, clear cheekbones. He's muscular. The set to his jaw is very determined, which I think is very handsome. He's got slightly curly hair and lots of it, but it's not long. Um, a, a strong brow. My heart's racing.
That's good. That's great. That's great. And I think Molly, who described him as virile and was noticing his legs
Yeah,
earlier,
yes.
might agree. The thick eyebrows. Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you, Catherine. So it's interesting. The one detail that's very important that's changing your interpretation of the story from Molly's is the direction of the eyes. Where are her eyes looking? And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more here, because it does make I guess it could make a lot of difference if she's looking at him versus if she's looking into the same distance at the same destination that he's looking at. And so that would affect the title that you have there, and you have it as Our Destiny. Okay, let me read a little bit here that I have in the chat. Tammy, you have, it was the position of the legs of the person being carried that led me to call it the rescue, but now I'm not so sure. Catherine said, where are they running from? And my potential revised title is Runaways. Okay, so the long stride, maybe Tammy suggests to you that there is something that they are trying to get away from. Okay. Janet, you have a few questions. You have, why is she clinging to him? Why does he look so anguished? Is he trying to resist her? And this is Eugene. This is Eugene. Is he trying to resist her? So, Eugene, a little bit like with Molly, you are thinking to yourself, there is some disconnect between the two of them. So that's a question we're going to have in our mind. Are they allied in this journey together, or is there a disconnect between the two of them? Josh, would you like to share your journey or point out any observations?
Sure. First of all, I love the observations that have already been made. I think they're terrific. So I'll read what I said, and then I'll add a little comment.
Yeah.
I said that the title, which I called The Rescue, derives from the setting, the stormy beach, and the dependency of the small figure on the larger one who appears to have pulled her from the water. What happened moments before? They're fighting the wind coming from the left. The rescuer's dark-skinned, a fisherman. The girl being rescued is changing from a fish to a human. Like the Frog Prince, question mark. And then I just want to add something here. I think he is supporting her in the sense that she's sitting in the net, and the net is attached to the poles that he's carrying. So he really is, he's not passively supporting her weight. He's actively carrying her. by means of the net that is his livelihood.
So, all right, Josh, I just want to make sure I'm seeing that point clearly. When you say he's carrying her by means of the net, you, what are you describing as the net? Is it this thing around her?
Absolutely. Yes.
So all this is a
All
net,
that is part of his huge net.
and that she is literally in his net.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
caught her somehow.
Okay. So
And I
Tammy,
don't know if I can't tell if this is her normal uh, state with fins for feet, or if she's changing from a finned creature to a human.
okay.
And
So
she would be naked if it weren't for the net.
she would be
Correct.
naked if it weren't for the net. And all right. So
I have a quote when we're ready for quotes.
go for it. Give us a quote so far.
This is a quote from Atlas. We never had to take any of it seriously, did we?
Now, who are you describing it for here?
Both of them.
The woman is saying it to the man.
Okay. So you're imagining kind of all still kind of a rescue or something that he's
Rescue.
supporting her, but then she might be going through this change that she wants and that she's happy to be like be brought with him, and maybe kind of conjoining with what Catherine is saying, that they've got a shared destiny kind of in the future. Yeah, go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, it's here. It's another meeting of the minds.
Mhm. All right, Catherine, go ahead.
As we look at this more closely, it looks to me like he knows what he's facing and he knows how serious it is. But being a former fish, she's doesn't look as she looks a little more questioning, a little more wondering, like, what is this?
She looks a little more wondering, like, what is this? All right. So I think that's probably the key question for us here. What is the attitude that this young woman has to being carried by this man in his net?
I think she's obviously glad to be with him. She's not struggling to get away.
And she is not struggling to get away. Molly, I see you holding your hand similar to the way she's holding. Just
But also, she's not really hanging on either.
and Catherine, are you like finding like some evidence for a different interpretation of the body language there? She's not really hanging on either.
Um, I find it confusing, Luke. Like, I
Okay.
wonder why she's not hanging on.
Okay.
I
So
would be.
you would be hanging on.
I think
Yeah, with
she
your
is. Her right forearm is resting on his left shoulder.
Yeah,
So
rest is not the same thing as hanging, though, Josh.
okay.
true, but it gives her some support besides the net that's supporting her.
Yes, I agree, but I would expect her arm to be wrapped around his neck.
I
So
see.
that might
Right.
be a very interesting kind of comparison image to bring up here. What is a what is another painting or an image of a rescue that we know is fully like, thank goodness you're here, having that and juxtaposing it to this to see what similarities and differences we see. So if you think of something, or if you just Google or ask the AI machine, a painting of rescuing someone from a tower, maybe Rapunzel. Um, let's see. Janet, you have, she doesn't look like she's letting go, at least emotionally, anytime soon. So it looks like if he did not have her on this net wrapped around that he's holding tight, that she would just fall off of him. Now, I think I've got, let me stop the share here because I think I've got a closer image, a photo I took of the faces. I just want to be sure that I've got that because I like that image all right, but I think the key is seeing the expression in the faces and to what extent she wants to be there and to what extent she's someone who's been caught in his net and does not want to be there and would rather be back in the water. So
She thinks he's handsome too.
She thinks he's handsome too. Okay, let's see. Let me share this image and see if it changes our mind for anything.
She doesn't look scared to me.
So, Catherine, you're thinking not scared.
I don't think so.
Molly, a little sad. And Molly, he either already knew her or doesn't know she's there. She's got her hands on his shoulder like this. Is she trying to get his attention? Is she trying to get him? Go ahead, Molly.
I said something before that if I had just caught a beautiful mermaid, I'd be looking at her in wonder, not off into the distance. So I feel like he either isn't looking at her in wonder because he's already seen her several times and he's used to her, or he doesn't see her at all. She's like a ghost or a mythical creature that he's unaware of in some way. But to have him just not even notice her is very strange.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think he's holding tight, so he knows he's got something in his net, Molly, don't you think? Because he's holding really tight to the net.
He's got a job to do, and it's his job right now is not noticing her, it's rescuing her.
So what is he rescuing her from? It was interesting, Molly, you pointed out that there's no real storm going on that we do see. It's not clear. And I think another
Maybe
big
it's a
question,
shipwreck.
Josh, that you brought up is she transforming or is she a mermaid? And if she is a mermaid, that makes her somebody who's in from the sea. And maybe that puts a question as to whether or not she'd want to be on land or not. And if she's in the process of transforming, maybe this is something that she's happy about, that she's looking forward to. So, one little thought exercise with this, when there is a kind of contrast, is to play the painter. If you really wanted to show that she was excited to be part of where he's going, how would you show it? How would you really dramatize that to the extreme? Yeah, Catherine.
If I wanted to show that she was excited, I would have her arm around her neck and she would be up, you know, like, wow, what's this?
Yeah.
Rather than kind of curled up into his chest.
Maybe
And
because they're
if
not out of danger yet.
maybe because they're not out of danger yet, then Josh,
It would be clear that she was looking where he's looking.
okay, and it'd be
I
clear
think
that she's looking where
it
he's
is, but
looking.
it would be more clear.
Okay. And then the second question would be, if he was taking her someplace because he wanted to rescue her and he cared about her, how would you try to make that even more clear? Yeah, go ahead, Catherine.
He would be holding her close with his arm, not just holding onto the net. He would
Yeah.
want to be in contact with her body. Well, he is in contact, but in more, he would be holding her close with his arm.
Yeah. So here's what I'm seeing. Would you like to hear what I'm seeing?
You're here.
Okay. I love that description, Josh, of his dark skin, that is a fisherman, and he's got the bunch of net, and Molly, you pointed this out, all this net stuff that's there. It's heavy stuff. And Josh, you point out that she is caught up in this net. So he's gone to get this net that she was a part of, that she was caught up in. And instead of like taking her out of the net, he pulls up the whole net and is carrying her, not in his arms, not looking at her like, oh my gosh, I found this beautiful person in the ocean, or this fish has turned into a woman, or whatever it is. He's carrying her up like a sack of potatoes. And she has, instead of grabbing his head or leaning back and sighing or expressing a desire to be a part of his body, she's pulling her knees up against his stomach almost defensively, and is not grabbing him, but kind of, and this is kind of ambiguous. Is she looking at him? I'm imagining if she's looking at him, she's pleading at him. She's like, please, please, and begging. And the way that his head is turned, cocked away from her, and those eyes filled with emotion, makes it seem like he's deliberately not paying attention to her. So
I can see that. Like he was fishing and he was out there for fish, but he caught her instead, and he's decided to keep her, and she's not happy about that. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's the thing that threw me, because at first I was thinking to myself when I first saw this, like, oh wow, this is kind of like a love story going on here. Like off together.
But she's not pushing away. She's not trying to get away.
And I'm wondering if she can.
Well, she's got arms. If someone were holding me that I didn't want to be held, I would at least be doing this.
And maybe she tried that.
What?
Maybe she tried that. That's what I'm wondering. Because right now it seems like she's pleading with him. And I'm looking at the hands, his hand compared to hers. And look at that, Molly, you call it virility. He is strong. And I can imagine her, the way he's gripping and holding tightly, that she is stuck there at his side. They are different species. Tammy, you're saying what alternative? The rescue of Honor Daumier. Oh, okay. Oh, I love that you're finding some comparisons. Which one is most helpful to you, Tammy, out of those two? And the rescue. The Joan Berg. Okay, I'm gonna Google that and bring that up. The Rescue by Joan Berg. Okay, so let me just pop that image up. And stop the share for just a moment and put it side by side. I'll do a little bit of manicuring here.
Luke, how long will this go? Our meeting today?
Oh, I think we'll wrap up in 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see. So I'm resharing my screen. With this. All right. So that's kind of helpful to me. I wish she were conscious on the right. There's more concern here in her face. So I think I would find a comparison where I could see the attitude of the person being rescued. Mm-hmm. That would be the main thing that I would look for. But even something like this is really helpful. Any kind of comparison for a similar kind of situation. All right, let's see. Let me keep going here. Janet, you have, this makes me think of the closest myth to this depiction is that of the Selkies. Ooh, what is that myth? Oh, I'm curious about that. What is the myth of the Selkies? So there isn't much background to this. Are you guys ready for a little bit of background story?
Yes.
Not much background story. Title: The Fisherman and the Mermaid. The Fisherman and the Mermaid. And um there is no, from what I read on the plaque, it's they don't know exactly what the particular myth this is in reference to. I think that there are stories out there, and we could probably Google these stories of fishermen catching mermaids in their nets and deciding what to do with them. And what I'm getting from this one is that his particular decision is to take her with him.
Kidnapped.
Is that your new title, Catherine?
Maybe.
So let me go back to the full image here. And Molly, you have another rescue. Milays. Oh, the rescue, the firemen. Yeah, the face on that one. I just have it pictured in my mind. The face on that one is much more optimistic, and of the firemen is like, and much more heroic looking rather than kind of a little bit tortured like this fisherman guy. Okay. So questions now are, what is the situation that this person is in? And I think we can decide whose situation is it? Is it her situation or is it his? Is he the main character or is she? And I think it can go either way. And so that will determine who you're going to think of, who to empathize with. And Molly, it does seem like this is a kind of abduction. Now, this doesn't look like a wicked guy who's like planned an abduction. It looks like somebody who like honest, hardworking, all his life fisherman who comes across something magnificent in his net. And Janet, the Selkies myth involves some tragic land sea romance. I'm going to empathize with the fisherman here, which makes it difficult and not so comfortable, but I think it's something that's going to immerse me in the story even more. So I got to ask, what kind of situation is this? When have I gone fishing and found a mermaid in my net? Well, not literally. Okay, how can I make that statement a little bit more abstract? When have I found an amazing discovery just in the routine of my day? Okay. Oh, there's $100 bill on the ground. I don't know. Okay, so that's almost there. Got to do a little bit more. What if I make this discovery and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about holding on to it or making it a part of my life, but I really shouldn't? Is that something I can empathize with? Um, what if I step into, oh, I'll make it kind of a little bit more quaint. All right, I'm a high school student. I step into the classroom before everybody arrives, and on the desk, on the teacher's desk, is the answer key to the test. That's a big fish. Oh, let me grab that. Let me just get my phone out and take a quick photo of that. I'm getting close there, I think. So this is a kind of moment of having come across something valuable that is not meant for you. Oh, man. Okay. And this is probably a moment that happens a lot in movies and literature. Maybe we can think of a kind of moment like that. Molly, you're thinking the captain's courageous might be an interesting parallel. The boy is rescued and then put right to work rather than being returned to his family because the ship has to continue its voyage. Oh, and Molly is a literary, as a comparison to the situation you're thinking of Peter Keating marrying Dominique Francon in The Fountainhead, where this is a marriage of something that he thinks he wants but is not good for him at all.
But she was willing.
She was willing. Uh, maybe she said something like, "If I can't remember her line. Um, I should tell you right now, Peter, to refuse. If I were to be kind to you, I'd say refuse. And that he doesn't deserve. And what does he do? Very much like this guy, right? Let me ignore any voices speaking to me about the danger of this, or even of Dominic saying this is not a good idea. And let me just keep going. Oh, and you know what? This is Molly. I'm so glad you brought up that comparison because one of the things I remember about that scene, that marriage between Peter and Dominique, is that they both kind of go through in a trance. Like they're just going. Peter's like just going through the motions, doing it. It's like takes control. I'm just gonna do it. He stops thinking about anything. He just gets in the car, drives expertly, gets to the marriage place, does the marriage, and it all happens so efficiently in the part of Peter. He's actually like competent in those moments. And I'm wondering if that kind of tunnel vision is a little bit of what we're seeing here in his face. And Janet, you have, or is this more like Hank Reardon's wife? And if you want to follow up, Janet, a little bit on that, like Hank Reardon and Atlas Shrugged is a big fish, a big prize, and she wants to grab onto him, and she has grabbed onto him in order to enslave him, basically. Yeah, I'd say that's I love that juxtaposition because I think for me, I'm much less Lillian Reardon is much more manipulative. She would probably like place the net so that she catches the mermaid and then like wraps the mermaid around so that she's holding on to it perfectly. For him, this fisherman, it seems like something rash. And perhaps she can still communicate with him and maybe plead with him, but he's taking these big strides. Oh, those are some great comparisons. Anything more comes to mind, or any personal comparisons or personal connections come to mind that you're willing to share?
Well, it's just amazing to me how my interpretation of this painting has gone a complete 180 since half an hour ago. Thanks to all of you.
And the Silkies reference is interesting because I just read they turn into women, which Josh, I think you said she might be turning into a woman. So she could be a Silky.
And let's see. And Janet, you have by nature, once he's caught him, he's seduced and entranced. So that's a silky myth. Um, so that's a good question. Often, like mermaids are kind of compared to sirens, seducing the men, and then the he does look like he's seduced, and he's not thinking clearly. But the thing that I would want to I would see if it was kind of a seductress is maybe more seduction in her eyes, more seduction in her manner. Like she'd like be caressing his cheek or whispering into his ear rather than seemingly like she's pleading and trying to get off of him, but she can't. Yeah, Josh, I envy you your plot development, the twists. That's why I like to start with that initial title, The Rescue. because then you piece things together and you're like, it makes it an exciting story to go in kind of naively like that and to try to pick things and put things together. And Tammy, I found a couple of other comparisons. Oh, Johnny Save the Girl by Andy Thomas. Her arms are in a very different position from this one. And Roman Centurion rescuing a damsel. Their expressions are different from this one. Mhm. And Janet, you're focusing on the fact that she's not wrestling to get out of the net. And that's true. She's not wrestling to get out of the net.
And they're not that far from the water, so she could probably use her arms to get back.
She could probably use her arms to get back if she jumped out. That's true. Maybe. But Catherine, actually, that makes me think that's true. That she is if she were to like break hold of him, she'd be like on the ground with her flipper feet. It seems like she thinks, yeah, the way I'm seeing it now more clearly is for me, she's caught and she can't get out of the situation without trying to plead to him, without trying to get his attention that he's ignoring. Okay. And then Molly, I'll change your quote to "Where are you taking me?" Mhm. All right. Final title and favorite detail. And Janet, you're thinking she'd be doing anything to get away. Yeah,
But
you're
the
go ahead.
mermaid, and they're not known for strength of character.
The mermaids are not known for strength of character.
I don't think so.
Oh, what about Ariel and the Little Mermaid? Maybe.
She is a happy exception.
Yeah, this is now. I wish there was a little bit more about the background story, and maybe the way I'd approach it is to look for kind of the general stories of fishermen and mermaids, and was there a particular tenor? Or the I'm guessing that I'd be curious to see if it would be fishermen who find something in their nets that's special, and then they've got a moral choice of whether or not to to kidnap them or to let them go, or is it more of the seductress avenue that um, Janet you're thinking? Molly, you have the Stockholm Syndrome as your final title. Tammy, The Catch. Janet, Perils and Lure of the Seas. See her more Selkie-like than even mermaid. And Molly, the young man in the sea. Juxtaposition to the old man in the sea. Josh, the captured mermaid. And favorite detail? Still her legs, because they're so significant to what's going on, but in a different way than I thought originally. Yeah, the fact that also she's not a typical mermaid that we know of as with one tail. She's got two tails. And then it occurred to me, the Starbucks mermaid, the Starbucks sign, doesn't she have two tails as well? Molly, her fin headed towards the water. Mm. And Janet, her body is sensuous. Molly, matching her hair blowing in the wind. Yeah, the fin and the hair. Mhm. And Catherine, his face, especially his eyes. The two faces side by side right there. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So we've gone for about an hour and 15 minutes. And there's all these artworks here, but I think that was a fun and exciting, intriguing journey that we went on. And I will have all these as backups for another time that we can get into. But for now, I think this will do for Sunday morning. Any final thoughts or questions?
You please show your QR code again.
Yeah. Oh, also, Catherine, you wanted artist. So the artist name, I'll put him in the chat, is Elihu Vedder.
Oh,
And I'll play this quick game. There's another painting by Elihu Vedder on here too. A second painting. Anybody want to take a guess as to which one might also be by Elihu Vedder? Molly says number 7. Tammy, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun for anyone interested in 1990 theft from the Sylvester Gardner Museum. I recommend the podcast called Empty Frames that has looked at it exhaustively. Thanks for that, Tammy. Yeah, a couple of great paintings that were taken there in that theft. Molly, Josh, it is indeed that Sphinx. Let me, for those wanting, let me share that QR code one more time.
I
And
didn't think it was that one.
which one did you think it was?
I wasn't sure, but I didn't think it was that one or number 1.
Okay. All right.
Molly,
So
what made you think it was that one?
The style of painting, just I don't know, something about the brushstroke and the color. Not sure.
yeah, sometimes it's easy. And Josh, do you have a reason
Kind
why
of a
you thought it was that
process
one?
of elimination. I
Process
think,
of
more
yeah,
than-
that's a good one.
Kind of the darkness of the figure,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
mood.
and you could even go a little bit further, maybe with I was thinking darkness of the moral complexity that they both might be in, trying to figure something out. Sphinx, tell me the answer. What should I be doing here? What should I be doing with this mermaid or whatever she is? All right. So thank you very much for joining me, Josh, Molly, Catherine, Eugene, Janet, Tammy, and thank you to everybody watching on the recording. I'll do this again another time. And remember, mark your calendars, August 4th through 8th. Look for that. I'll be doing an art break to bring an artwork just for you, to have a one-on-one art reading with you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Luke.
Bye.
Thank you, Luke. That was fun.
Good.